Hi everybody, this is Book-S Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the Marvel Legends Walmart exclusive Loki and Corvus Glaive 2-pack. So before we take a look at Corvus, let's take a look at Loki. Say that 5 times fast. So Loki comes with one accessory. He comes with the Cosmic Cube. And we have seen this before. We saw it with Red Skull and the Guardians of the Galaxy 5-pack. There was one other time it was released too. Can't remember the other time. But yeah, this has been released a few times before in the past. And Loki's left hand is meant to hold this. And he can hold it kind of like this. There. You kind of just have to wedge the corner there in between his fingers, so he's holding it like that. And he actually holds it pretty well. I wish he would have came with his daggers from Infinity War, or maybe like an alternate hand in his daggers. Well, he even uses those in Thor Ragnarok, too. But yeah, that would have been nice to see. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the head sculpt. So the head sculpt of this Loki, well, the head sculpt and body is the exact same as the Ragnarok Loki. But this time, the head sculpt is done much better. I feel like the right eye looks just a little funny, like it's aimed up just a little bit. But overall, this is a much better head sculpt. Well, I mean, it's the same exact head sculpt. But back in the Hulk Build-A-Figure wave, Hasbro was kind of, still trying to figure out how to use the face printing tech. It has definitely gotten much better since that wave. Because here is the previous Loki. And I ended up painting his eyebrows on. Because the eyebrows were very, well, they used the face printing tech to print those on. And they were very thin and almost invisible. And the skin tone line is really weird, too. And they fixed that. I don't know, I just think this one looks much more like Tom Hiddleston than this one. And it's mainly just because of that face printing tech. But this body is the same exact one as the Loki I just showed. Only this time it's done in a matte black and dark green color. And it has some slight touches of gold to it. And Loki does wear this in the end of Thor Ragnarok, because the end of Thor Ragnarok leads right into Infinity War. So even though this is an Infinity War pack, you could also use this for Ragnarok Loki. And something else I wanted to point out is his cape right here. It was a separate piece, but I ended up gluing it down. As you can see, it's just pegged in his shoulders right there. But the right peg just wanted to, well, you can kind of tell even now that it's glued down, it still kind of aims up a little bit. And that's because when I opened it, it was warped. And even boiling it didn't do anything. It was still curved up. So I ended up just gluing both of them down. I mean, this one really didn't want to stay in his shoulder either. But this one was just way worse. So I ended up gluing them down. And I did the same thing with the previous Loki as well. The cape was just really irritating to me. So now let's go over Loki's articulation, since I did review this figure before as the first Loki. It was way back before I actually had the diorama and everything, but I did review this figure before. So for his articulation, he has a ball-jointed head that you kind of have to move back like that, but he can look back all the way. His hair is very soft, so you will get him looking back all the way. You just have to force it. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to break, it's just a very stiff joint. But he can look down all the way. He can move his head side to side. He has ball-jointed shoulders that can move out all the way. He has swivel at the bicep, double-jointed elbows that bend in very far. He has swivel at the wrist that can move side to side and up and down. He has an ab crunch that can do that. He looks like someone just broke his spine completely. He can crunch forward all the way. It still looks like someone broke his spine because that just looks unnatural. He has swivel at the waist, ball-jointed hips that can move out that far. He can kick forward all the way, though it might tear this piece of his tunic right here if you try to force it or leave it. He can kick back all the way. He has swivel at the thigh, double-jointed knee. They can bend that far. He has swivel at the ankle that can move all the way down, all the way up, and he has an ankle rocker. So, of course, the articulation is exactly the same as the previous Loki. The only thing that's changed with this one is the paint apps on it. And he comes with the Cosmic Cube, of course. But the Cosmic Cube's a redo, so. Now let's take a look at Corvus. Let me set Loki to the side here. So, before we take a look at Corvus, let's take a look at the only accessory that he comes with, his spear. And it has some really nice sculpt detail to it. It uses that sparkly kind of paint. And you can see that even the handle here has some really nice sculpt detail to it. And he can hold it in both hands. For some reason, his right hand is open. I'm pretty sure he's right-handed. I mean, you can have him hold it in either one. But it does have handles on both sides, so he can hold it in both hands. And this one is closed, so if you want him to just hold it in one hand, he can do that too. Now, you kind of have to stretch his hand through there, but he can hold it in both hands. That's what it looks like, holding it in both hands. I don't know which way I prefer it. I think I prefer it in one hand, but I do like that you can do that. So now let's take a look at the head sculpt for Corvus. And this is a really, really good head sculpt. Hasbro did a phenomenal job on this. Not only with the sculpt, but all the paint detail on it. Like his eyes. I honestly didn't figure the eyes would be this good. But he has the all black eyes and has the red pupils. Even his teeth are sculpted. And I think it's actually that printing tech that they use for the teeth. But it looks really good. And they also did this really light gray dry brush over the dark gray. And that brought out a lot of the details on his face. Just looks really good. And on his hood, he has a bunch of sculpting detail. And the lines came out pretty clean. And in between all the lines right here that are sculpted on his cloak, that travels down to the cape here, they also have that printing tech. And they're using it to put gold in between them. And that just looks really good. It also has a slight texturing to it, if you can see. But yeah, that looks really good. Though right here, this piece kind of drapes over his shoulder, and it will hinder the articulation on his left shoulder. And it's really soft, and that surprised me that it hinders it that much. But this is really all the farther you're going to be able to move the left shoulder out. Now taking a look at the back of his cape. This is where it has a lot of the paint detail. And it's not put on the best. It's kind of just put on, like up here, it's put on pretty good. But down here, they just kind of put it on here and there. They don't actually put it on the way it should be. It's kind of just put on wherever. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it's not perfectly accurate. He also has that sculpt detail and paint detail to his tunic. It has that sculpted pattern. That's where I was looking for, the pattern. In between the pattern here, they just print that gold on, and it's kind of just put on so-so. But on his tunic right here, it has the same pattern. And towards the bottom, it gets the same thing. The gold paint, they're kind of just putting it on wherever. But at the top here, it looks pretty good. He also has a bit of sculpt detail to his legs. Though it just kind of has some gold here and there. Like right here it has a lot of gold. And right here it has a lot of gold painted on. Although it kind of looks like it's mixed in plastic. I don't think it's painted on. Now this I know is painted on, but I know that was an accident, like it's not supposed to be there. And then there are his toes. He has some really weird toes. Kind of looks like they're doing that. Now his another reason I like this cape is that it is made to where it does kind of hold him up, because it's a soft plastic, but it is kind of heavy. But it's made to look like it's draped on the floor. So that was pretty good. Now, going over before I go over his articulation, I should say, anytime you move his head, it's just going to pop straight off. And that's really bothersome, especially when you're trying to pose him around, is it does that. His cape here is removable, so if you wanted to see what Corvus looks like without the cape. And as you can see, the gold is painted on, but it stops right there where the cape's put on. And then there's Corvus with his head on without the cape on, and that looks really weird. But there you can see the back of his tunic, and they did paint on just a little bit of the gold, but not all of it. It is missing in some areas. Like right here, the line should be completely gold, and it isn't on the line at all. But over here it is. So that's kind of one thing with the paint. In some areas it'll be spot on, but in some areas it'll be completely off the mark, or not even where it's supposed to be, honestly. So now let's go over his articulation. Let's put that back on here. So he has a ball-jointed head that should be able to move back, but it can't because the head just pops off. I think if the peg hole would have been just a little bit smaller, we would have been able to get some articulation out of it. He can't look down. Now, if you force the peg down and then put his head on, you can get him looking down. But, you know, that's not very convenient to have to do that. So I'll probably just leave his head as is. That way I don't have to pop it off and then move the joint. So he has ball-jointed shoulders that can move out that far. Like I said, the cape does drape around his left shoulder right there. So you're only going to get the left shoulder moving out that far. He has swiveled the bicep, double-jointed elbow that can bend in all the way. He has swiveled the wrist that can move side to side and up and down. And you'll only be able to move his elbow in that far because of course, the cape, how it comes around there. He has a ball-jointed diaphragm that can move back all the way. Just about knocked his head off again. He can't crunch forward all the way. He has a swivel at the waist. Now, this surprised me. I figured since he had the ball-jointed diaphragm there that he wouldn't have a swivel at the waist, but he does. You'll just have to move his tunic down just a little bit to get all the motion there, but it can move side to side. Now, here's where the articulation really surprised me. I mean, other than the double-jointed elbows moving in all the way. He has ball-jointed hips that can do a complete split. I mean, his cape back there is preventing him from doing that. But he can do that. He can kick forward all the way. He can even do this. Hold on here. He can do that. I don't know why he'd have him doing that, but he can do that. And he can kick back all the way. Actually, he can kick back really, really far. Now, I hope that Hasbro uses more of these ball-jointed hips, because you can get some really good poses with him, having lots of articulation here. He has swiveled the thigh, double-jointed knee, swiveled the ankle that can move down all the way, can move up all the way, and he has an ankle rocker. So now let's do some size comparisons. Let's get Corvus holding his staff here again. Or his spear, I should say. Okay, let's get him standing there. There, like I said, if you have him leaning on his cape, he'll stand up perfectly. So here, Corvus is next to Loki. Let's get Loki to stand here. Okay, I don't know if he's going to stand. Okay, let's just do that. There. So then, here they are, next to the Infinity War 3-pack Thor. You can see that Corvus Glaive is even taller than Thor. And Thor's a pretty tall figure. Of course, Loki looks a little short since he is leaning against Corvus. But here, Corvus is next to the Walmart exclusive Hulk, because this is the closest thing we have to the Infinity War Hulk in the Marvel Legends line. There he is next to him. Here he is next to his wife, Proxima Midnight. And she is taller than him. That's the thing with a lot of these Black Order members. They're pretty tall figures. Especially Cole Obsidian, since he's a Build-A-Figure. Here he is next to Cole Obsidian. And of course, Cole Obsidian's going to be bigger than him. Cole Obsidian takes up just about all of my diorama here. And then finally, here he is next to Thanos. And scales pretty well together. So now I just need Ebony Maul, and then my Black Order will be complete, which I should have that and review it sometime next week. So, overall, I'd highly recommend this 2-pack. It is really awesome. The Loki is definitely better than the first version. The likeness is just much better. And, of course, Corvus's all-new sculpt and everything. Like, there is not a reused piece on him. And that is really good, because Loki is all reuse. Even his accessories are reuse. But even then, it's still a good reuse, because it's definitely better than this version. And, of course, you get the brand new figure, Corvus. So overall, I'd highly recommend this set. So that's my review. And if you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.